Well, here we go, fellow Americans. Good morning to all. And do I have things to say here? Elizabeth Warren today, yesterday, I think it was, I don't know, it was the day before yesterday, in a comment that she made, she said that the government should have the right to expropriate all private property or any private property. In other words, she has declared herself communist. Because the only people that do this, that expropriate, which is a very, how you call it, a fine word for robbing. Because if they expropriate, they are robbing. But they don't want to use the word, oh, we have the right to rob your property. They say, they use a very sophisticated word, and they say expropriate to sound more professional and more easy for the gullible to swallow. Because there's a lot of people that are gullible sufficiently to support the stupidity. Can you imagine that everything you work for, all the property that you have, everything you sweat for, everything you work for is no longer yours, and that the only thing you're going to receive from the state is a miserable share of maybe, depending, because there's no equality in communism. That's a total lie. The most you can get, but then you would have to be a judge or a doctor, would be $26 a month. If you're that lucky. If you're that lucky enough to get there, to receive the title of that kind of level of profession. Mostly what you're going to get, maybe if you're also lucky, like $17 a month. And those are special categories. It's not everybody. A teacher is $10. An electrician might be $10. A person who's pensioned from the state, $4. And now I read somewhere that in Venezuela, it's gone down to less than $4 for those who are pensioned. In Cuba, for the veterans, the fought in Angola, like I've said before, is $3. Raul Castro, in his extreme perverse evilness mind, he decided to take away that $1 because he wanted that dollar for his own pocket and give them only $3 a month for the veterans. So I don't know if what they're saying that it's less than $4 than $4 for the pensioners in Cuba. It could be $3 or maybe less. In some case, in another area, I read it was $2. So they getting that kind of money, they're probably killing them. They're killing the population. And this is what Elizabeth Warren just expressed, that all private property should be, the government should be allowed to expropriate their property, and no longer theirs. So that means what I have and what you have, and God forbid those students who become professional, that's what's going to happen to them. They're not going to have nothing. Only what the miserable amount of money that the government wishes to handle them. That's just what's going to happen. If you don't believe it, you better read. You better check out. I'm talking about. I hope the students in the United States, a lot of the students that watch this video, hear me. I know you don't want to listen. You'll probably turn it on and say, no, turn that off. I don't listen to that junk. But you better listen, because it might happen to you. Yeah, it might happen to you. Those who favor Hillary and Bernie Sanders and AOC and Elizabeth Warren, the whole Communist Party. They composed the whole CPUSA now. Alias, they call themselves Democrats, which is a total lie. They're no longer the party of Kennedy or Truman or Roosevelt, Delano Roosevelt. They were all corrupt. Bill Clinton, in some ways, at least wasn't that bad as Obama. But he has his faults. He had his faults. And they were pretty terrible. From what I've read, what I investigated, and I managed to look into his background. He had a, look at this. Those who call us conservatives racist, did you know, and I'm going to repeat this again because I think I said it before, that Bill Clinton had a son from an African American woman, a beautiful African American woman, because I saw when she was young, she was a beautiful, gorgeous woman. I wouldn't have left her. My wife can be called that, an African American, Puerto Rican of African American descent. And I'm going to be married to her now in January the 15th for 45. We're going to be married for 45 years. We're going to celebrate 45 years of marriage. I love her to death. She was just as beautiful. She was, age, age deteriorates, but I still love her to death. I love her to death. I love her. I pray for her. I hug her. I kiss her. And I love her. I just love her. And I still love her. Why couldn't Bill Clinton demonstrate that love? You know why? Because he was a racist. Because he left her because of her color. That makes him a racist. And you're calling us racist? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You members of Antifa. You members of the Democrat Party. Are you calling us racist? When Bill Clinton and Hillary was caught in blackface? I don't want to demean people of color because of their race. I met a lot of good people, very good people, including while I was in the military. I met some bad people that were terrible. It's not all of them, I mean, there's everything in God's country. You got a lot of, people vote, even Puerto Rico. You got people that are terrible, that are racist too. They say that we're not racist. You have people here that are racist. I remember when I got married with my wife, I introduced my wife. She has a sister that's white. She doesn't look like, well, she's white. She doesn't look like she's descendant of African American. My wife and her, the sister in the middle, between the oldest, the one that comes next, who was a teacher, and she passes by as an African American woman. I remember one time when I was in the United States with my wife, an African American woman in Georgia, I think it was Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia. He saw me with my wife. He said, "Go for it, sister." My wife didn't understand it because she doesn't know very good English. She can understand, and she can understand when I speak something maybe negative or something about her or something. For that, people say, "Oh, yeah, you said," she's pretty smart. She makes me laugh, but she's pretty. She's pretty good at grabbing me out of step. But believe me, you remember when I took my wife to my the mother the aunt who raised my mother. She was a racist at the level of the Ku Klux Klan. And I took my wife to introduce her to her. And after I introduced her later on, I came back and I said, "Well, how do you perceive? How do you like my wife? I mean, my girlfriend at that time. What's your opinion about her? And she said, which one? Because the white one was the prettiest. That's the way she answered me. And I looked at her, and inside I said, what a B. You figure out the rest. You know, because I looked at her, and when she was, and then after she met her very well, because I didn't want to take her to her. I didn't want to take her to go visit her anymore. You know, I said, no, well, the hell with her. She's not going to even see my son. But my mother obligated me to go over there because then she moved a little bit further from where we lived, and she wanted to see my wife. And I looked at her and said, what a hypocrite, you know, because if she would smile and from ear to ear with black people, but excuse me, I say black people because, you know, it's in generalizing. And I'm talking about black people in Puerto Rico. She would smile like, hey. And in the back, she was a real, honest to goodness racist. But she had one sister, which was the true mother of my mother, who could have passed for an African American woman. She even married a person who was of African American descent, who I used to call my grandfather. I used to say, I would request the blessing of that man because he treated me like a grandson. My real grandfather, who had blue eyes and the Spaniard descent, and I hate to say this word, but I'm going to describe it with this one word. He was an asshole, a real asshole. He disinherited us from his first true daughter. He inherited us, disinherited us, and he didn't want to see us. At one time, because his grandson didn't know about us, and he had him. I was the one who found out about where he was at, and then when he found out that we were also his grandson, he went crazy. He didn't know he had any cousins from his part, and he obligated that man to come to my mother's house to visit her because he wanted to know his other aunt, his true aunt, because he didn't know he had an aunt. And right in front of me, the great grandson, this asshole of my grandfather, he told me, and my son remembers that. He told me, yeah, I remember that. He said, I don't go over there anymore. You know, I don't want you to visit me anymore. And I told him, hey, I'm gonna grant your wish. Okay, I said, try to say it in a nice way. I didn't say that I'm gonna grant your wish. I said, okay, whatever you said, Grandpa. I didn't say it that way. I'm gonna grant your wish. I was more respectful. I said, okay, that's okay, all right. And that's what I did. He died. I don't even know where he's interned. I don't know what cemetery. I didn't want to go. My mother went because my mother was a lot more. She had a great heart, but I couldn't. I just couldn't accept going to that guy's funeral and even a cemetery. And when my mother was dying, and she was in the hospital, she had me request the blessing of her sister, who was just like him, who was just like my grandfather, the same age, just like my grandfather. And she obligated me to, hey, ask for the blessing from you, for your aunt. This is your aunt. Well, she was there dying. She was dying. She was almost at the end. She didn't die at that hospital. She died later on in another hospital nearby, in the town where I live, next door neighbor. And I'm telling you, there's racism here. If anybody tells you, look, Puerto Rico, there's no racism in Puerto Rico. No, that's BS. There is. You have white people that are just left. I even remember hearing a family member of a male family member who was a cousin of my father. He'd come to visit her and say, I don't want to know about black people. And I remember hearing another guy saying, I don't want to keep on this discrediting because there's a lot of good people here, and there's a lot of mixed marriages. You got a lot of white Puerto Ricans married to black women or descendant of black women, like I am, and I don't see, as long as you, it's like Martin Luther King said once. He said, "Do not judge the person because of the color of skin, but because of the content of the character." Well, what a great mind! That was a great, great mind. I mean, this guy was brilliant, super brilliant. He was a great man, no doubt about that. He said that, and that's exactly what I believe in. I've met people that are terrible of all races, of all races. But the ones that most impact me was the Muslims. One time I was studying at the community college in Chicago for a short time, but I never finished. I wish I could have. It wasn't easy for me. But there's no excuse because other people have done it. But okay, I'm doing fine now. I'm doing fine. I'm not going to say I'm feeling sorry for myself because, hey, I was the one who I could have studied. I could have been better. My son, I helped him I motivated him to finish. And now he's an officer with the rank of major in the United States Army. But, now I forgot what I was ran out of the subject I was talking about. But there's a lot of things to say today. I want to try to, I hope my mind will help me. My neurons are active enough to help me. But I already said about Elizabeth Warren. And there's other comments. Oh, James called me about the dossier. Now he finds out the director of the FBI, which he knew. But there are liberals gullible enough to believe him. Oh, he made a mistake and he said he's sorry. BS to the maximum. He's saying, oh well, now I realize that there was a mistake made and I didn't know. I was trying to explain himself that he didn't know about it. I don't know if he said that exact word, but more or less what I heard is what he tried to say. If it wasn't those exact words, more or less, he made me understand that he was sorry. He was sorry. That now he realized that he was wrong. And that he's sorry, that he made the mistake. But you know why he said it? Because the conservatives who are in those impeachments, the investigators, they found out that he knew way before time, that he's guilty. He's guilty. Period. And Adam Schiff, another one who said the same thing, more or less to the line of what Comey said. That if I would have known it, I wouldn't bring it out. Well, you knew it. You knew that what you knew was a lie, and that you was just trying to overthrow the duly elected president because you don't like him. Period. That's it. Because they have dirt on you, on all of them. All of them are accused of something. Even Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney is another one. He's got dirt on him, including to what I read somewhere. He also, I think a son or something about him or a family member, the son involved in the Ukraine. I don't know if it's him or one of his sons. Pelosi, another one too, about the Ukraine, also involved. Maxine Warner, she's another one who will go to prison, but that's why she's trying her best. That's why they're trying their best to remove Trump. Impeach 45. She's doing that because she's corrupt to the core. She has a whole bunch of cases against her. Hillary, forget about that. And she wants to run for president. I want him, she's coming out with all these. This lady, she's an evil evil entity. She is very evil. Even a lot of the Democrats are seeing it and walking away. This is moving, walk away. A lot of people are waking up. Candace Owens is one of them. They say, "Oh, I saw what was happening. I couldn't take it anymore," and she's left. Now she's finding out there's a whole bunch of African American people they have their own videos talking about this. You got Tatum Brandon. You got let me see wow, his last name is Green, but Jericho Green. Tremendous. They're all good. And you got from Prager University, the Blaze. You got this other John Miller. Tremendous. This guy is tremendously good. So Tatum Brandon, at least he's gone on radio. I think he's gone on a radio station and speaking a little bit more professional, and not using slang, which I think is great because it means his how you call level of education. So it's good that he omits those words and use more professional words. There's other ones that are very good, but they have to stop the curse words. I understand that feeling, and still with all that, they're doing very great because they're receiving a whole bunch of views and everything, and monetizing and all that. Something I haven't done yet. I might do later on because it wouldn't be a bad idea to monetize. But how to do it, I'm trying to think. I know that there's a way. I've seen the pages where they permit you to monetize. But then I have to be careful because what if I monetize? And then suddenly they cut me off because I said something that the Democrats don't agree with. Sometimes I use strong words. I wish I could use those words I just said, like stupid because they're unprofessional words. There's other words like idiots or senile or something like that, or completely out of step words. There's other professional words that can be used. But remember, I didn't finish college. I'm not that educated at that level. I'm mediocrely educated. But I try to inform myself every day. Come in here and read, and I've read a lot. I've had people educate me on the way I write. Professors in the university. There was a professor at the university who it was a program for the veterans to call aspire, in Spanish, aspira, for the veterans. And this lady educated me, and I had other people who were at the level of professors who corrected a lot of my writing. So no, you have to correct that. You can't use the motherland words. Let's see, in Spanish, so don't use la palabra materna, also the maternal words, or the words that you were raised and use more professional words. And that's what I do. I go into these. I found out about Google Translate, and I look up words. There's a dictionary of. Because I do it in Spanish and in English. That's the Webster Dictionary, and in Spanish it's another dictionary. I'm trying to remember right now. I'm not going to take time on that because Google Translate practically helps me out on everything. So that's usually what the main source where I go to get words when I write, and try to self-educate myself to the point where I can do these videos and seem more professional. And not like a dumbwit from I call a countryside. A person who doesn't, I'm not trying to demean the countryside because you got a lot of intelligent people everywhere. But I'm telling you about the people who lack education. That's what I'm trying to say. And I hope I'm not offending anybody for what I just finished saying. I'm just trying to describe that I need to level my knowledge of words so I can speak. And that's the way it should be. Just like these other professionals, like Michael Savage, like Rush Limbaugh, like Mark Levine, like Laura Ingraham, Hannity, Tucker Carlson, and this other lady, I just don't remember. A lot of people, I just can't remember the names. But this is going to be all for today because I just wanted to come in because when I saw this about Elizabeth Warren, she has, if you don't figure out that they have declared themselves communists now, up to now, there's something wrong with you. There's something terribly wrong with you. If you haven't left the party, there's something terribly wrong with you, or you're just plain evil. So wake up. Walk away. Walk away from these people. It's for your own good. Because if they impose their plans of communism or Sharia, forget about it. You're gone. That's it. That's it. You're going to suffer forever if you get to live the rest of your life in peace or in death. Because they will they will cause your death, your early demise, because they will kill. The misery will be equal for everybody, including the way you're going to die, which will be, believe me, horrible. Without peace, without tranquility, because these people will force you to suffer, like they've done in these countries. There's nothing blessed like what we have, and people want to give it up for something else, thinking it's going to be better. No matter where, you have to work. No matter where, you have to sacrifice and work. And how are you going to do it? As a slave? You're going to give up your freedom to be a slave of the system? Or you want to do it under freedom, where you can choose if you want to work here, if you want to work there, the way you want to progress, if you want to go into the military, if you want to go and study and sacrifice, and you have a choice under democracy. The Democrats, now the CPUSA, will not offer that to you. They will destroy your dreams forever and your hope. So I hope you can realize this. Study and wake up and look at the past. Study the past before it's too late. So God bless you. I love America. I love. God bless America. God bless Donald Trump. God bless his family. Donald Trump, I hope you win again. As a matter of fact, that's something that I read. I hope you go for a third term, because we cannot permit these evil fiends to take power. So I'll see you in the next time. Bye-bye.